Hey, let's do the thing.
Must we so soon? We're terrible with contests. I've actually employed someone just to do contests. Not like employed as in paying the money, but I've manipulated one of our users into doing this for us. So, not really. Furman offered, so Furman's going to be in charge of like telling me, reminding me to give things away. Let's just give this away. We chose a winner. So, Raffles Waffles, you have won the Legion Hellion Mouse. We'll be sending that off to you. You must email me, sir. And you must email me with the email address in which you used to sign up at techsyndicate.com. And over here's his profile, as you can see. He has a profile that's very nice. We drew the name, and I was like, hey, look, it's someone who's actually active. They've even filled out their computer specs.
Wow.
If you're on Tech Syndicate, you should fill out your computer specs, because then when someone clicks on your avatar, they can go and look at your computer specs. It's very handy in the forums, very handy. So Raffles Waffles, thanks for being a good example of what a community member should be. I will come to your house and shake your hand.
It wasn't like last time when we got 1 million people that were like, I'm the Danish guy.
That was my fault, because I was like, Danish guy, by the way, we shipped out the 7970. You'll have that in like a couple days, dude. Or, well, if you're in capital of Daneland or whatever. But yeah, you'll have it soon. But yeah, I said, Danish guy, email me. I had like a page and a half of emails that like, I'm the Danish guy, I'm the Danish guy. Half people would be like, I'm the Danish guy, and then I click on the email and be like, haha, no. Like, why did you take up a spot in my inbox, you idiot?
Well, I think they were assuming that we had no idea who that really was, or it's like, it's tied to your username on the forum. I mean, how do you think we did the contest in the first place? I mean, honestly, is it dishonesty or ambivalence?
No, there's a lot of people who like tried to convince me that they were the Danish guy. And I'm like, I would write them, and some of them I wrote back and I was like, I'm sorry, but you are not the Danish guy. And they were like, how can I prove to you that I am the Danish guy? Because in fact, I am. I was like, no, you're not getting the 7970. And furthermore, I have banned you from all future contests because you're a scum of the earth. You slag heap. Let's talk about what's going on in the world today. There's a lot of Google in today's tech because Google shapes the world of tomorrow. This is like turning into a Disneyland intro speech to a ride at Epcot. Let's just start with some asinine news, shall we? If you're if you're in Kansas and you're deer hunting and you text your friend, hey, there's a deer over here, you're going to jail, buddy. That is illegal. You can use a walkie-talkie to tell them, hey, there's a deer over here. But if you use a cell phone to text, they have specifically said, the local law officials have specifically said that that is illegal and you will be prosecuted.
So does this mean my hunter drones are out of the question?
Your hunter drone, well, do they send text messages or do they have walkie-talkies?
No, it's Wi-Fi.
Ooh, I'm not sure because phone calls are you're not allowed to make phone calls to your friends, and they said text messages. They've sort of like rolled that into phone calls legally. So Wi-Fi might work. In fact, I don't think they know what Wi-Fi is in Kansas.
I've got a trank dart that has an IP address, and so all of the deer there have IP addresses.
Moving right along, a baby was born. I'm not even going to talk about the family because they're obviously morons. They named their baby #Jameson.
Oh, I think this really is one of those times where it just doesn't come through in the video, but I think there's an exact quote there of something that was posted to Twitter.
Yeah.
And I remember having an aneurysm, but then it's black.
Oh, is it because she weighs 8 pounds? W-E-Y-S?
W-E-Y-S,
yes. So the type of person that would name their child # also thinks that ways is spelled W-E-Y-S. Jump off a bridge, leave the baby. There may be hope for the child.
Ways. A unit of weight is ways.
There's no ways that we're going to keep talking about that.
Pardon me while blood shoots out of my nose.
This is kind of interesting. The same guys that made the Kinect, which are Procter and Gamble, I forgot the name of the company, but the PrimeSense, they made the Kinect. Now they have a new unit that they can fit into something very small. It's pretty much the same thing as the Kinect, that you can fit it into like a cell phone or something in your pocket. So I'm not sure what the implications of this are, but we could see very small Kinect-type devices everywhere. Can you imagine a Kinect in your phone?
I would like the Kinect functionality where it finds a depth married with the panorama feature. So I could take my phone and just wipe it around the room and then have a 3D model of it.
That's probably not far off. I mean, I think it's just the software is what you would need.
That'd be really huge in real estate.
There's a new project that will allow you to run OS X, that's Apple, binaries on Linux.
Yeah, this could be huge. See, we've got Wine.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to really get in. Like, why is this better than Wine?
Well, okay. So Wine is not emulation. It's actually Windows binaries on Linux, and it's a big deal, and it works really well. And the application support's a little iffy. So if you're running real big, complicated programs, like the Adobe Suite's one good example, it's a little flaky, and it's a little hard to deal with. But with the Apple situation, because Apple is basically a Unix operating system, the leap from the Apple operating system to Linux is not as much as the leap from the Windows architecture to Linux. This is right now, it's just an academic project. It's not commercially sponsored. But if the guy gets some commercial sponsoring, this could be a huge project. This could be the thing that kills Windows. I mean, overnight, almost, if you can run all these commercial applications that are available on Mac, on Linux,
You have that, and that's coming at the same time as Steam. And Steam's got Steambox coming out, so they really want Linux support because they want to run Linux with Steambox. So you've got all the games coming out for Linux now. You've got all the programs available on Linux now that were previously unavailable on Linux. Why you still want to use Windows? I do not know.
yeah, with like the Vista and Windows 8 type debacles, Microsoft will be losing a lot.
Now, do you think Apple will sue?
That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll probably see this go to court because Apple.
And that's really not a smart move for Apple.
No. I just wanted to mention this quickly. Gizmodo put up an article today. Victorinox has come up with it looks like a Swiss Army knife. It is a 1 terabyte flash drive. And I just want to mention this because that's pretty ridiculous. It's going to be in USB 2 and eSATA 2 flavors. USB and eSATA. Why would it be USB 2 and eSATA? Why not USB 3? I do not know. It's got a little micro LCD screen on it and all that. This is just bad. I want to say bad, Gizmodo. The headline here is Victorinox 1 terabyte flash drive makes it easy to lose 1,000 gigabytes. Is that really the takeaway here? Really?
It's like, oh, it's 1988. Oh, I've got my pocket 40 meg hard drive. I'm going to lose 40 megabytes of data. Honestly.
Oh no, a big flash drive. That means we're going to lose it. That's the first thought into your mind, you idiots at Gizmodo. I'm sorry, but God. Speaking of Gizmodo, let's talk about Engadget, shall we? I don't know why. I just wanted to mention this quickly. At the University of Tokyo, they have created new robots that have muscles and bones. Not like organic muscles and bones, but simulating muscles and bones. They're very slow at this point. They're 5 foot 1 inches, and they weigh about 110 pounds. And they're moving around. Here's a little video here. Have you seen this?
Yeah. Well, the reason it's cool is because robots historically have pretty much had to depend on stepper motors for stuff. And the most
servo stepper motors.
Yeah, so it's a very stair-stepped kind of thing. Best approximation of human movement was actually like like steel thread on a thing that would twist around, and so it would twist, and the twisting would cause the cable to contract, and so you could get really cool, human-like movement with it. But this is, far and above beyond that.
It's the first step to having a robot that could actually look and move like a human being.
Yeah, and this is a big leap from muscle wires, which was, an invention from 15 or 20 years ago that just really has been really nice in sort of the micro-mechanical thing, but building a large-scale muscle wire is just not feasible at this point.
Yeah, and it's not going to be fast enough in the long run either to do quick twitch-type movements. With any accuracy, that is.
I'd like to see more research into artificial muscles using ferrofluids and nanostructures. A ferrofluid muscle could be a really good approximation for human muscle. Could even be artificial muscles.
I'm also thinking that the real way that this might go in a few years after we've had some more developments, because we're growing muscles and tissue in laboratories. Why wouldn't we have a being that we'd have to feed, but that has muscles? Like actual living tissue.
Artificial muscles.
Artificial muscles, like lab-grown, but like actually organic and alive.
Bred specifically for the purpose.
I think that we might go in that direction.
Well, I think before we get there, I think we'll have the Synta-cow.
The Synta-cow?
Yeah.
Is that a real cow? No. It has been grown in a laboratory.
It has one head, but it has thousands of pounds of delicious T-bone steaks.
I don't know if I'd want to eat it. It's just weird. I don't know.
I would totally eat a Synta-cow.
So a UK scientist wants to have the first telepathic conversation with his daughter. Here's why this works. The scientist's name is Christopher James, and he's got a young daughter, and he's developed a system that translates his brainwaves using the standard EEG.
Electroencephalograph.
Yeah, he's using some standard EEG stuff, and he translates the brainwaves into a pattern of flickers, like LED flickers, and then she sees this. She doesn't know what it means. It's not like Morse code, but her brain will be able to translate those flickers into whatever he's trying to say. And it's very rudimentary, and it's not exactly working. And the best way to do it would be actually to drill into her head and implant this stuff in her brain, and like the receptor. That would be the best way to do it. But the government said no, and his wife said no. And he was like, oh.
Spoil sports.
Yeah, you guys, I could have given her messages all over the city with blinking lights.
This kind of thing is really interesting. If this kind of thing is interesting to you guys, I suggest you sign up for the Open EEG mailing list. There's a mailing list for people that want to build their own encephalographs. And there are plugins for games like Tux Racer, where you can wear the head cap and get your own medical grade sensors for cheap and blah, blah, blah. You can play Tux Racer and think about Tux racing down the hill left or right, and it'll actually move left or right.
You know, there were some gaming devices that came out. OCZ had one, and I'm not sure where they went. They just came out to the market, and they were like, oh, cool, we're at CES, and look, our heads are moving, and the guy in Quake 3 is moving around, and then it's gone.
Well, it turns out it's sort of inconvenient to, lube up some sensors and tape them to your forehead and then play a game exactly how it is.
Well, it was like a headset you put on your head, but...
No. It works better if you lube up and, shave your head, and because that's just how that works. Either that or, drilling the holes, but drilling the holes is not really a DIY thing.
Want to improve your kill-death ratio? It comes with the drill to drill your own holes in your head.
Now, what the cool gaming accessory might be some kind of eye tracking thing. Keep your eye out for cool eye tracking technology, but I haven't.
Stephen Hawking type stuff.
Well, even more insane than that, because you might, first person shooters could get to a point where there's eye tracking, and you look at somebody on the screen and blink, and they're dead.
When will they have this for real life?
We could almost build it, but it would take a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money, research time. It's time to talk about Google. We have a lot of stuff to talk about with Google. First off, they released Maps for iOS 6, and everyone is rejoicing except for the people on Android.
It became the #1 app in less than 7 hours.
Just almost instantaneous. Everyone on Android is upset because all of the reports say that the apps, or the maps for iOS 6 is better than the Android app. And The Verge did a big article on this too. They were like, "Hey, what gives? Why is it better?" I'm going to say this: calm down. Maybe their team that worked with Apple, put a little something into it. You will get it on Android. Android is Google's baby. Come on.
You have to appreciate that Google put so much work into this for iOS 6 because, honestly, they were hurting.
We have a lot to talk about as far as Eric Schmidt goes as well. Now, Eric Schmidt just said that the war with Apple is over and Android has won.
Well, they do have like 70% of the smartphone market at this point.
Yeah, and really it's going more that way. And the key here, and I'll read this one thing, is that the core strategy is to make a bigger pie. We will end up with a not perfectly controlled and not perfectly managed bigger pie by virtue of open systems, but they will have a bigger pie.
Yes. It's very interesting that he says that. The translation of what he's saying there is that we concede that Apple has better, tighter control of their platform. We don't have that on Android.
Nobody can argue about that. That's a fact.
Well, but that's where Google needs to be. Google needs to be able to push an update for Android and have all the devices that support it. They need to not be impeded by the carriers.
That's the next step of the plan, I would hope. Google will not be developing any apps for Windows 8 or Windows Phone because they feel that the audience is not there.
I can certainly vouch for the lack of apps in the Windows 8 App Store for Surface
No
RT.
native Talk app, no native calendar, no native Gmail. What do you do if you're a Google user? No native Docs, no native Locker.
Microsoft's going to have an interesting situation. They're going to have to come out with some way of running Android apps or something. It's a chicken and egg problem. They're not going to have users until they have apps, because apps are now sort of a required feature for tablets. There's never going to be users because there are no apps, and there's never going to be apps because there are no users.
It's interesting back when they just had, exe files.
Yeah, you could just run a program. It's like,
run a program, but no, all those programs, no. All right, let's talk about robots, shall we? Because robots are coming onto the scene, and they are changing the way that we do business in this world, and they are also changing the way that people work in general. And it's going to be, I don't know, you preface this with an article you sent me. I'm going to open up that one right fast, and then we'll talk about what Eric Schmidt had to say about this. Eric Schmidt's been talking a lot lately. But talk a minute about the decoupling of the U.S. economy.
Okay, so there's this really neat article that's maybe just a food for thought kind of article that talks about how over the last 100 years, the productivity of Americans has basically been coupled with how much money they earn. And so the more productive an individual is, the more money they earn. But the last 20, 30 years, maybe 40 years, that's been less true. that people have an insane productivity, but the income is much lower. And so some economists are now saying it's like maybe we're at the point where technology really is decoupling, and it's not just technology; it's also offshoring and the better interconnectedness of people and the global village economy. And so this actually could be producing a situation where there's so much technology that it's hard to find enough jobs for people to do. And Eric Schmidt sort of talks about that a little bit, but he's got a little bit different spin on it.
Well, he came in and said, listen, this is going to happen. The robots are coming, and we have to outrun them. And the way we do that is education, education, education. It's very important. Developers! No. But he said that we're really having a Sputnik moment in America. And back in the 57, the Russian satellite went up, and there was this new urgency where they said, we all have to have, math and science, math now, math and science. Well, now we really have to worry about STEM education. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that's really, really important right now. The Asian countries are going to be there. Finland is ahead of all of us. I mean, that's just, their education system's awesome over in Finland, so... Everybody over in Finland, what's up, guys? Germany's doing well, but Norway's not doing nearly as well as all the other countries because they started modeling their system after America. Oops. And the American system is just work the kids to death, give them homework, and beat them. And
at the risk of oversimplifying it, it's that at first robots and machines in general replaced menial labor, and now we're in a situation where robots actually have a limited ability to think, or they have a limited ability to do cognitive tasks. Mm-hmm. So they can sort things and find things and do things that 20 years ago, we would have looked at this and said, there's no way that a machine will ever do this job. But now machines are doing that job.
I mean, he did mention here in this article that as time has gone on and things have moved forward, people have gotten smarter to stay sort of ahead of this, and he hopes that we continue to do that. But it's going to take a lot of education.
But the economy article shows that maybe we're faltering a little bit, even though individual productivity is on the rise. The decoupling of how much you're able to earn and your overall level of productivity may signal that we're having trouble keeping up now.
I mean, that also ties into a lot of other things that have been going on. Like the upper 1% versus the 99%, all that stuff has sort of that chart looks very similar to this one. Like the distribution of wealth looks very similar to this one. So there could be something that's going on here with greed as well, but we're not going to get into that in this show. We'll leave that for whoever else does that. So Eric Schmidt came out because a lot of people have been noticing it recently that Google.
There seemed to be a witch hunt.
Yeah. They're like, well, Google does terrible things too, right? Well, yeah, they're a big business. They probably do a lot of things that are quote unquote evil. They send billions of dollars offshore to Bermuda, and they've saved $2 billion in the last few years on taxes due to this. So they asked Eric Schmidt about it. And let me just read what Eric Schmidt had to say about this.
We're doing exactly what is set up and framed in the capitalistic arrangement in America.
He said, quote unquote, I'm very proud of the structure we've set up. We did it based on the incentives the governments offered us to operate. And then he said, it's called capitalism. We are proudly capitalistic. I'm not confused about this. That's very key. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew that he's not ashamed and he's not confused. He knows what's going on. It's nothing sneaky. Him saying, I'm not confused about this.
This is an incredible thing from an A-level executive inside a company like Google. Can you imagine an answer that honest from somebody else in the same level of power and another member of the Fortune 500?
Not going to happen. The other thing that's interesting about this, and we're not going to get into the whole, should he pay taxes, and is Google being good about what they're doing? Are they keeping the money here? Are they improving or hurting our economy? Our economy is technically not even really capitalist. It's like a market society where money circulates and whatnot. But I mean, it's kind of capitalistic. But there's different terms for it.
It's really interesting that Eric Schmidt has come out with all this stuff lately. He's been very vocal, and it's uncharacteristic for Google. Google's usually a walk softly and carry a big stick kind of company.
Well, they're a bunch of smart guys and they play chess.
Yeah, and we think the reason that all this got started is like a week ago, or maybe a little over a week ago. There's this Goldman Sachs article, and it was the strangest thing. It was like Goldman Sachs comes out with this report, or somebody that works for Goldman Sachs or an analyst or something comes out with this report and says, well, if Google rolls out fiber nationwide, it's going to cost $140 billion, and they don't have $140 billion, so, it's not going to happen. And it almost seems like it was a message to big media, don't freak out about Google offering gigabit internet service and Time Warner's.
Yeah, they really were talking to Time Warner and Comcast and Verizon. They're like, listen, guys, they're doing an experiment here. Maybe they're trying to nudge you guys, but they're not actually going to do this. They don't have enough money. It's impossible. So, yeah, Schmidt has been a lot more vocal. And then right here he is. He came out and cleared all this up. He wanted to make sure everyone knew that it is not just an experiment. Yeah, he came out and verbalized that it is a real business. And they plan to expand on it. And if he says they're going to do it, they're going to do it. They're Google. They play the long game. They know what they're doing. They've been planning this for a long time. They've been buying dark fiber all over the country. They know what they're up to. Now, he came out and said this, which is awesome, that they're going to be expanding Google Fiber. Maybe we can get it here. And that was on the 12th, right? On the 13th, Time Warner came out and said, you know what? There's no real demand for this. We're not worried. So Time Warner's in denial. That's what I'm reading into this. They're totally in denial. In fact, one of their guys even said, if there is a need for it, we will provide it. Our infrastructure has the ability to provide much faster speeds today. Okay, so I'm taking two things away from this. Number one, they have the infrastructure and they're denying it to their customers. They said they have the infrastructure to provide the speeds. He just said it.
But they have data caps.
Yeah.
It's not just that you can get a 50 or 100 megabit connection from Time Warner, but your cap is 250 gigabytes. If you're running one of these Google connections, flat plank, it's like 2,000 petabytes or something crazy like that you can get at top speed in a month. It's just some absurd number. Mm-hmm. And with Time Warner, even if you can get 50 or 100 megabit internet connection, if your cap's only 250 gig, you're going to hit that in just a few days.
So Time Warner's in denial is the takeaway from that. They have no idea what's going on, and if they do not get out of denial and start improving the infrastructure as per the Telecommunications Act of 1996, there's going to be problems.
Well, Cox and Time Warner and a lot of these cable companies historically have had extremely low customer satisfaction rates. And
have you ever tried to call them?
Yeah, it's not really. That's a whole other. That's another story for another time.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of analysts that were that I guess got the TV service through Time Warner, and on their Nexus 7, like when you get the TV service, you get a free Nexus 7 remote that you can use for your DVRs and stuff. And one of the analysts, I think, was a shill for Time Warner. Or he always wrote pro Time Warner articles and this is bad and anti-competitive and blah blah blah. And that guy got his Nexus 7 remote, and apparently Google's done an app where you can search for television, and it'll just find it. It's like, oh, we can record that. Oh, no, we can't record that. It's on Hulu, though. You can go to Hulu. Oh, it's on iTunes. So it's like, I just want to watch the show. It's like, okay, we'll get you there. And that's like the most brilliant thing ever, because Google's sending people to iTunes, and it's sending people to Hulu.
That's always been Google's model. They want to. The thing about Google is it's not a walled garden. They just plant their stuff everywhere and let you go. And they're like, hey, yeah, you can go over there. There'll probably something growing over there that's part of Google.
This sounds like the article about what the TV service is sounds like the holy grail of television that Apple's been preaching for years, but hasn't actually been able to deliver it with Apple TV.
Speaking of high-speed internet, Louisiana. There's a small city in Louisiana.
So even if it did cost $140 billion to roll out this infrastructure, which is absurd, there's no way that report's right, because if you actually read the article, it says that Verizon spent $17 billion getting 15 million subscribers or something like that. But when you break down the numbers, it starts to not make any sense, and it's crazy, and we don't even get into that. But if Google starts to lose, Google strikes me as the type of company that will share how they did it. And so communities could do this themselves.
Yeah, and here we have it in Lafayette, Louisiana, a community that now has 800 miles of fiber optic cable running under the city. It's only a city of 120,000 people. But think about what this is going to do for the local economy. Everyone's going to be able to get, 100 megabyte per second, 100 megabyte per second connections. Yeah. And it's done by the local community, not by some company.
Now, Cox Cable spent millions upon millions of dollars fighting this. Cox was like, no, we're not going to give you this, but you're also not allowed to do this as a community. You have to have a private business do this. And they finally, earlier this year, won.
Well, the community should be allowed to do this. Why would they not be allowed to do this?
Why would the community not be allowed to do this? Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. And the 96 Telecommunications Act, these companies, these communications companies, maybe Time Warner could get a pass, but not AT&T. They got a ton of money to run fiber everywhere. They didn't run fiber everywhere. That is why the internet in America sucks.
It's going to be stuff like this that fixes it, whether it's Google, whether it's local communities. Google, like you said, will share the knowledge, and the local communities will pick up the slack. And I bet we can make the economy around here explode if we could just get the guys downtown to start laying some network infrastructure.
Having the internet connection will help education and will help everything because you can get the knowledge. And as long as people are motivated to learn, all the knowledge, the panopticon of all human knowledge is at your fingertips.
Don't panic. All right, Apple has finally gotten in trouble for infringing on a patent. 3 patents, as a matter of fact. But it looks to me like a patent troll.
Yeah, it is completely a patent troll, but that's the Pandora's box that Apple opened. You see, Apple hasn't sued Google because Google has a massive patent
They haven't sued Google. I mean, they don't talk to IBM. Kind of stays out of everything. But if IBM wanted to open their patent portfolio, they could nuke the earth.
Yes, IBM definitely has a mutually assured destruction.
IBM could be like, Apple, you're out of business. Motorola, we'll take half of you.
And that's because patents historically haven't been used like this.
Yeah.
You know, all these companies have their patents, and they're largely defensive. And just like, nuclear proliferation, I guess, is kind of defensive. Nobody actually wants to push the button.
Yeah, but Apple's just like a kid. Ooh, red buttons. Ooh, look what cis do. So that's the problem right now. Apple is people are pressing red buttons against Apple.
Even though they used to be kind of a huge company, now they're insanely huge, but they're definitely very immature. It's like the new billionaires club.
Yeah, I'm a new billionaire. I don't know how to act.
Oh, you guys are stealing my stuff. It's like, no, you're late to the party, dude. Google is normally very quiet, and it's really interesting to see them come out with all this kind of stuff. The Goldman Sachs article, Eric Schmidt through all of this is basically making fun of it because no, that's not how it is. They're the smartest guys in the room. They would figure out a way to deploy it cheaper than that.
Yep. Right now I'm seeing Google, IBM, and Valve as being like the 3 companies to take notice of.
Yeah.
Whatever they do next is going to affect a lot of things. Whatever Google does next is going to affect the internet and also a lot of the devices that you carry around in your hand. And whatever Valve does next is going to affect your living room. And it's going to affect the way you play games on multiple consoles. So just keep an eye out on those companies. I wanted to mention this quickly. There are a few senators out there that are fighting for us. So I'm just going to mention their names. Jeff Merkley, John Tester, Mark Udall, and Ron Wyden. What they are doing is they are fighting to stop the warrantless surveillance. They are fighting to stop the warrantless email reading and all that sort of thing. So there are some people in the Senate out there. I just read their names. Follow them if you can. See what they've got going on. Hopefully they will prevail. They have to. If this ever goes to court, they have to prevail because it's against the Constitution. That's pretty cool. That's the thing. A lot of these things just happen, and as soon as they go to the court, they're like, of course this is illegal. What are you guys, crazy? We have this document here that we based our country upon, and what you guys are doing is I don't know, what did you read, some other country's document?
It's more bizarre than that because they're saying
really
they're saying that they have the right to record all of the data for 5 years, and then they can sort of ex post facto go and get a warrant. And so it's like, well, our automated stuff gathered a few terabytes of data on you.
You're talking about the Wall Street Journal article, right?
Well, it all fits together.
Yeah, it does. It all goes together. I can't open it anymore because the Wall Street Journal forces you to log in to read more than one article per day. But the base, I'll put a link to it so you guys can read it. But the basis really is that the extra government agency, which one was it? The U.S. it's a terrorism agency, but I can't read the article anymore.
It broke.
What did?
But I can't get there either.
Oh, you can't get there either? Wall Street Journal, this is the wrong business model.
Well, you guys will find it in other places, but basically, the government, this government agency is getting permission to trawl private databases and government databases and sort of aggregate them together about citizens, even though they have they can do searches on you and do stuff with your data even when you're not suspected of a crime. They don't need a warrant. There's no oversight. There's nothing. It's like if the data's there, they're going to use it.
And they're saying that a lot of the rules don't apply to them because they're not traditional part of the government or something. Or
they're not really a part of due process because it's just data in a database. There's no process for data in a database. That's
so anyway,
crazy.
Those senators are fighting to stop all that sort of nonsense. So cheers to those guys. Ron Wyden and team in the Senate.
Good job.
Godspeed. Yes. Let's talk about hardware. Micronix has discovered a way to make flash memory last forever. Essentially forever, like 100 million cycles.
Basically, they're putting heaters on the chip, and if you can bake the part of the chip that's worn out to 800 degrees C, then the accumulated wear, the quote-unquote wear in that flash area goes away.
So they just continually rebake the chip. It's similar like when you have your PCB goes bad and there's a bad connection. You throw it in the oven for a little while, then all of a sudden it magically melts back together.
And so we're sort of waiting for independent confirmation here, but this could be the holy grail of flash memory.
You see this? It's the world's largest outdoor TV designed by Porsche. Oh, that's loud. Yeah. Look how happy this guy. God, this commercial. It's just terrible. Let me just go to the thing. So it folds out of the ground. It's 200 inches. And it looks, nice. LED. It's the world's largest outdoor LED TV. It's like waterproof and all that sort of thing. You can go sit outside in the yard and watch your movies. How often is it that you just say, like, I really wish I could go outside and watch this movie?
How many 1%ers are there? My God.
Well, the price is probably such that if 10 1%ers buy it, they've made their money.
Must be nice.
I mean, I'm getting one. Porsche already sent me one.
I'm going to deal with my $300 Walmart TV.
Walmart? You actually get that one at Walmart, too, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's in the lawn and garden for rich people section.
The lawn and garden and freshly minted CEO section.
Science time. There's a lot of new space things going on, like space companies emerging, and everyone in the private sector is like, hey, can we borrow $1 billion? If you got $1 billion, I'm going to call Steve. He's got $1 billion. And after he finishes watching his 200-inch TV outside, he's going to send me $1 billion. And then we're going to go to Mars or something like that. You guys game? Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah. So that's what's going on. There's a new company called Mars One. They've been around for a little while, but now Mars One wants to take humans to Mars. And they've been getting a lot of attention, a lot of backing. Who knows what's going to happen with this, but...
Is this the group that signed the volunteers for the one-way mission?
I believe so.
A startling number of people signed up for a one-way mission to Mars. Wow.
I mean, I guess if you're that bored, I mean, it couldn't be any worse than Ohio. If I lived in Ohio, I'd be like, Mars, yes.
Well, if Mars had, an atmosphere or plants, yeah, I mean, I would maybe. But, see, the lack of atmosphere is really a deal killer for me.
What do you mean I can't breathe? But I was told breathing.
I can't go outside,
I was clearly told here on line 47 breathing. Oh, no, that's the wrong contract. I'm sorry, you have to fill that one out in triplicate. I've been reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy again lately. The Vogons will be here any minute.
Didn't you get the notice? It was at the bottom of a locked filing cabinet in a disused lavatory.
And then I had to fight off the cougar. Oh, yeah. All right, what's this? I don't know. Some guys are digging in a lake or something, man. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, in Antarctica.
Yeah, in Antarctica, they've decided to melt the ice. There's an under... let me just preface this. There's an under all the ice, there's a lake in Antarctica that's been frozen for 500,000 years. So they're using this process to dig through it so that they can discover... That's what we're always doing. We're discovering. But they're going to melt it. They've got like this cannon that's shooting like 90 degrees Celsius, almost boiling water. And they're just going to bore into it and see what the hell's down there. I kind of want to go down there because you'd be like, whoa, look at the sea monsters that are just frozen in there. You're like, these crazy things. I'm already thinking about the sci-fi movie that they're going to make about this. It could be a horror movie, sci-fi movie. What if the sea monster comes to life when it melts?
What if one of the mass extinction events was actually caused by some sort of like bacteriological plague?
And they're going to release it. Story 11. Well, who knows what's going to happen. I'm not sure what the implications are going to be, but it probably is going to be a bacterial plague that's going to kill us all. You heard it here first. And just wait, because next week it'll be on Wired.
Chances are we will have evolved to, deal with it, but, there's always that chance.
It's time to talk about gaming. I've just started replaying Skyrim. Here's my character. I'm a Khajiit. There you go. I thought it was funny.
That's terrible.
Let's talk about Steambox and the implications and what it's going to do for the world and what it's going to do for us. I'm going to build a Steambox.
Steambox, if you haven't heard, is Steam's console, which is really a computer.
Well, if you have Steam, I'm sure you've seen Big Picture. It's the new little thing up in the corner. If you haven't, go click on it. All of a sudden, you'll be transported to this world that feels much like the PS3, whatever it's called. What do they call their interface? I don't even know. An Xbox
Dashboard
Live. I don't know.
I think that's what they call it.
God, I sound like not a console gamer. I'm very sorry for all the console gamers out there. I'm terribly sorry to be this way. But it looks a lot like that interface, and you can control it with a controller. And the interesting thing here is it's going to be based on Linux, and that means all the future Steam games, they're going to want Linux support, especially the ones that are controller-friendly. So we're going to see a lot of Linux games on Steam, and a lot of Linux support for past games, it's going to be a nice world. A very nice world. The Steam Box is really going to help even us on the PC side, because a lot of us are going to be able to run Linux now. It's going to help us in a lot of different ways. So it's also going to help us as far as like connecting with the living room crowd, because there's a big living room crowd, and I'm not talking about the living room crowd that gets on there and just calls each other ethnic slurs all day. There's actually intelligent, cool people in the living room hanging out playing video games, and now they're going to be part of our family. So it'll be a very interesting thing. That's what I see. I also see this killing the console.
Well, I think Steam's also working on a web browser that's designed for Xbox-style controllers. So that could be huge.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think this is like the future of the console.
Seems likely.
The console right now, there's not. What's going on with the console world? We got the Wii U, Xbox 720 or some nonsense. I mean, did they even have like anything interesting coming out? It's been a long time since a refresh.
Well, if you had a Steam box that had a PCI Express slot and you could just drop in, whatever video card, and that's your upgrade, that could be huge.
Or you could build your own Steam box. We'll show you how to do that soon. We got tons of hardware over here. I'm going to give something away now. Shall we?
Sounds good.
No, we just gave this thing away, the Legion Hellion mouse. We're going to be starting a gaming channel very soon. We'll be doing some streaming, some like funny live casts, some goofing off. And we need a name for this gaming channel. Like Tech Syndicate Gaming just doesn't have the right ring to it, but we want something that has to do with, Tech Syndicate. What I'm going to do is there's going to be a link in the description here to a forum post. And in that forum post, you guys can give us your idea for the best name for our gaming channel. And whoever comes up with the best name, it'd be probably better if you guys, make sure that the names are available or whatever. Whoever comes up with the best name, I'll let you pick a SteelSeries device. I've got a few things here. Got a Diablo 3 mouse, which is actually quite nice. I used this for quite some time and had much success with it. And I didn't know I had any more of these left, but I've also got a headset. I'll give you guys the headset and whichever mouse you want. We've got a we got the Diablo 3 and the Guild Wars 2 headset and mouse. So whoever comes up with this, you guys can tell us which mouse you want, and I'll give you the headset too. Maybe I'll even throw in a mouse pad. I don't know. So that's what you're going to get. And you guys can check out the videos, reviews for all these devices and that sort of thing. You should check them out because they're actually quite nice.
So what is it we're supposed to do again?
You have to go to the website and come up with a name for the gaming channel, for our future gaming channel. Because Tech Syndicate Gaming just sounds blah.
Too many syllables.
Yeah, Tech Syndicate Gaming. No. I mean, we're going to have something with the ring, TAG, which is Tech Syndicate Amalgamation of Gamers. But it was taken, and you can't have 3-letter names anyway. It has to be more than 3 letters for Twitch and whatever. But we're going to use YouTube primarily. But help us come up with a name. It can be an acronym, because acronyms can be cool. Like Tech Syndicate Amalgamation of Gamers United Forever in the service of the mountain gods. I don't know. Whatever it is, you guys can come up with it.
Tech Syndicate Legion. Tech Syndicate Syndicate.
Tech Syndicate Syndication of Syndicates.
Master Syndication.
Let's do like a gospel band like here from like Kentucky, like the Tech Syndicate Glory Mountain Revival Family. We're probably gonna play on the channel. We're probably gonna play retro games, and we're not gonna disclude the console games. We're gonna play like Metroid and stuff on there. You guys will be seeing some Super Metroid for sure. Maybe even some like arcade games. Like you'll see us play some SNK games, Samurai Showdown. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some fun with that. We'll be playing new games too, of course, but old games, man.
Tech Syndicate Power Club.
You're not getting any of these products.
I can't help it. We're children of Nintendo.
The Power Club. I think I was in the Power Club. I was also a Lego Maniac. Remember Lego Maniacs?
Yeah, they had their own magazine. And it was like, $12 an issue or something insane.
And it came out. It was came out 4 times a year.
Yeah, it's like honestly, and it was like 4 pages.
I needed it.
It was really a Lego brochure.
I know that cost money. Then I bought it. Oh God, I bought it. Oh my God, no! Why did this happen to me? Why did I let this happen?
You should show the Logan South Park thing because that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I'll put that on the screen. It's somewhere around here, but I'll throw it up at the end.
We need to make a Logan Lego figure for your desk.
I don't like figures of me. I'm not Chris Pirillo. I must have my faith on everything. Chris, if you're watching, then deal with it. All right, everybody. This is a long episode.
We'll edit it down.
Yeah, we'll edit it down, but not too much. Because you guys are going to complain regardless. This one was 29 minutes. I demand 30. I wish it was longer than 40. And this one was 40 minutes. That's too long. And someone shut up. I wish it was 42.
This one was kind of funny, though, because a lot of people are doing asinine things that we can laugh at. Yeah.
We're just rambling at this point. If you guys are still watching, you're a trooper, and I salute you. But go the hell somewhere else, okay? See you guys next time.